Thanks very much, Jess, for inviting me, and thank you everyone for being here. I'll get started if you like, so that it gives us more time, because I'd love to hear your stories as well. You just don't want to hear me all the time. So at 14, I created a school project called Man Alone. So I collected newspaper obituaries, I studied poetry about forgotten soldiers, and I asked, who is left alone? And my teacher gave me an A, and she wrote, you have obviously gone to a great deal of trouble. And she was right. I've been in that trouble for 51 years. That 14-year-old was already documenting something that matters, how communities hold memory or how systems fail to hold it at all. And today I want to share what happens when accountability for things that should be collective, like memory, like care, gets delegated to the wrong places, and what we can build when we refuse to let that happen. So Jess asked, have you experienced trying to work with someone in power who didn't see themselves accountable? Promised meetings that were missed, a lack of transparency, and the disconnect between decision makers and those impacted. So here's a glimpse of what that looks like in my work. So just let me take you back a little bit to give you some context. When newspapers died, accountability for memory got delegated to commercial interests. Newspaper obituaries were our public commons and civic infrastructure, and it ended. But what replaced them? We had funeral notices that read more like marketing. And nobody recognised this void. No one saw the implications when our storylines were broken. And at the same time, essential public services shifted to what I call the payoff matrix, prioritising some things while deprioritising their responsibility to provide accessible, culturally respectful cemetery and crematoria services. So let me give you some specific examples of accountability failures. Example 1, our cemetery plan. After 6 years, the current cemetery plan has never been reviewed annually. We have absolutely no idea if there's been any progress on the actions that were promised. So we've had population growth, we've got an ageing population. People talk about baby boomers, what's going to happen there. We're more culturally diverse, but people's needs are not being met at all. So we don't know where we're heading. Example number 2. New rules have just recently been introduced without any consultation. And that was to standardise memorials. We didn't know that there was a problem with memorials, but apparently there seems to be. Now, coincidentally, this also aligns perfectly with the products the council sells. Now, infringements apply if you don't comply. There was no public consultation, there was no notification, just new rules that benefit the rule makers. And example 3, and it was a meeting at City Hall, well, a meeting that wasn't really. Back in 2024, a meeting was promised in July of this year, and yes, that meeting took place. But I sensed something had changed, really profoundly had changed. Afterwards, I learned there was a lot of things going on in the background that contradicted the illusion of collaboration. At the meeting, I was so disturbed by this meeting that tears just rolled down my face. And meanwhile, families are negotiating grief under these constraints on top of everything that brought them to this point. In our region, or in Queensland, when around Australia really, we perform collective memory ritually with things like Anzac Day, which gets like millions in funding, while everyday remembrance gets commodified. So there's a pattern here that we delegate what should be collective memory, care, accountability, and real people are harmed or lose in this change. So what does it look like, to reclaim accountability as collective, not delegated? We are weaving the margins into the centre, and creativity is how we do it. Our Facebook pages are experiments. We have a Funerals, Sunshine Coast and Regions page, and that's also a project that I'm working on to develop a non-profit model for our community. We have an Obituaries Sunshine Coast and Regions page, and we have a Friends of closed Facebook group as well. So instead of this one-size-fits-all, branded narratives, we practice co-op sort of storytelling. A storytelling event that we held at a local cemetery attracted about 150 people. So we had multiple voices adding memories in different ways, because the work of remembering belongs to all of us. So we're building what newspapers once provided, that are public commons for memory. And I'm learning that accountability requires creative, adaptive systems, not rigid hierarchies. And perhaps unintended, I didn't realise how great creativity is for my well-being, or for my inner self and growth as well. So that's probably been, it's been wonderful to have these, that it's helpful in the work, it's helpful for me as a person as well. And the work doesn't wait for permission. I'll say that again, the work doesn't wait for permission. I've been building this for 51 years without a platform, a stage, a microphone, a lectern. So we just had to find a way to do this ourselves. And I'm a scholar without having to use titles, because I believe that we are experts of our own experience. So now that I've sort of shared some of my experience with systems that delegate what should be collective, I'd really love to hear yours. Thank you.